EVA Airways Corporation, Changlong Hangkong. A 5-star Taiwanese airline, commonly referred to as EVA Air. Mind you, it's not but EVA. Headquartered in Taoyuan City, this airline is only second largest to state-owned China Airlines. And today, we get to fly EVA Business Class all the way from Kuala Lumpur to Houston. But, fair warning, this is a lengthy video since it covers just about everything from our flight check-in, to the lounges, to the in-flight experience itself. So if you're looking for more of an overview instead of a deep dive, this is not the video for you. But if you have nothing better to do and just want to see what nonsense we're getting into, stick around, you will regret it. The last time we rode business class long haul was with Qatar Airways. How will the EVA flight experience compare? Let's find out.
70 reported by Dodge City and Liberal, 72 over by the good folks of
This time, while we booked our KLIA VIP Express outbound as usual, we were not able to use the check-in service at KL Sentral since we were not flying Malaysia Airlines. Hopefully, this offering will be resumed for other non-Malaysian airline carriers like it used to be before the pandemic. Anyway, I was happy to see that the train had updated their featured content, as considering how often we took this train, it was starting to get boring.
68 degrees today.
Since KLIA wasn't EVA's hub, it meant that the counter for our flight only opened 3 hours before departure. So that meant waiting for a bit at the priority lane reserved for business and first class travelers, as well as Star Alliance Gold and Diamond members.
0.00 and is rising.
The counter did open on time, and it wasn't long before we checked our bags and got our boarding passes, as well as a separate pass for entering the Plaza Premium First Lounge. Additionally, there was a new little surprise in store for us.
The first good thing about having this business class ticket is that we get a business class bus just for business class passengers. This means we need to take the bus at gate G1. We are still doing the Plaza Premium Lounge, but that is before having to take the bus over to the gate, which is C32 in the satellite building. Also gave Oppa a slip so that he can have a fast-track immigration process, but we don't need that because he already has a long-term pass anyway.
The queue for Plaza Premium First was not as apparent. It seemed that the reception staff were attending to just about everyone. Fortunately, after a short while, they provided us our Wi-Fi QR codes and we proceeded to sit ourselves down at the far end of the lounge next to this view.
As of that time, of course, the front was way off in the northwest. Now, however, it's moving.
There wasn't a lot of people at that time, so I got a chance to look around. Besides the view to the long side of the lounge, there were a number of paintings by local artists. The Plaza Premium First Lounge featured a coffee machine, a salad bar, and an Asahi beer dispenser, which is definitely not provided in the normal Plaza Premium Lounge next door. To my horror, I discovered a whole lot of fruit flies hanging around while using this machine. Seeing that, we probably should have passed on the Asahi beer. Our 2 glasses of Asahi tasted stale, so I went to the bar and asked for Carlsberg draft instead. Oh, and I made sure to tell them that the Asahi was not fresh. Though this lounge had a liquor bar, note that only certain kinds of liquor were complimentary. So it was nice that Chip's Bombay Sapphire was included. The food buffet that day also included little snacks, the pastry section, local kueh, and creamy cauliflower chicken. Don't worry, that's not all the food they have. Scanning this QR code brings up another menu of cooked dishes, and I was pleased to see that they had my favorite, curry laksa. Just make sure that when you're putting in an order, you end up at this page. So while I waited with anticipation for my curry laksa, I also snacked on all the other items available, which by the way, that cauli chicken soup was really not bad.
I must say this lounge actually smells quite nice. That's because they were happily mopping the floors when we came in. There's also an in-house manager that's checking to see that everything is okay. Like for example, I didn't realize I did not place my order for my curry noodles because I didn't hit the button confirm the order. And she checked for me and she said that it was because I didn't do that. So I just added mine to the queue. Anyway, the in-house manager told me that if there's anything, I can always check with her since she's there, just right there. So I'm not sure why is it that they have a lot of these fruit flies hanging around. I mean, I saw some flying around at the bar and I saw some, actually it was quite a lot of fruit flies near the Asahi machine, but they did change out the Asahi beer when I told them that it wasn't fresh. I wonder whether they had someone else taste it for them because a lot of these staff are actually Muslim, so they can't take alcohol. Yeah, that would be an interesting situation.
Unfortunately, Chip's order of chicken stuffed pita bread was not particularly impressive. He did fare better with his chicken hor fun. My long-awaited curry laksa arrived soon after.
This looks exactly like the picture. I wonder if it tastes as good as it looks. Little tofu packet. This one is the fish balls, mint leaf for garnish. And this is actually what he's smelling, the kind of belacan sambal. You have to try the curry laksa. It's really good. Whether it's Plaza Premium or Malaysia Airlines, they're all equally as good. I think they all come from a central kitchen.
What about the bathrooms? The bathroom was designed quite tastefully. Besides the usual hand wash and lotion, hangers are also provided for your use. And of course, this toilet had the all-important bum gun. And here's a new design that I've not seen anywhere before in this airport. Of course, this meant that it had the awkward effect of blowing your suds up the sink. Anyway, we tried the Asahi dispenser again after the keg replacement. Unfortunately, it was only a slight improvement.
Maybe it's the hose that's dispensing the beers. Maybe not so much the beer, but the hose.
I guess it seems there are just some things Malaysian managements don't seem to understand.
Anyway, they just started this beginning of this month. And Malaysia Airlines just recently joined it as well. So apparently the airlines have to apply to be on this, which is funny. So this is gate G1 and the KLIA terminal. These are all the lounge spaces you can sit at. It's entire space for you to sit down until the next bus arrives, which is very nice. That's really cool. I am impressed. So KLIA, well done. Malaysia, well done. Malaysia, boleh. Say that again. Boleh, boleh, boleh. Boleh, boleh, boleh. Okay, that's pretty cool. Are we going up or are we sitting here? Yeah, I don't think there's anyone else. Let's just sit down.
The bus for business class passengers provided wide, comfortable seats. While the ride was too short to really necessitate us sitting down, it was nice not to be packed like sardines for once. So let's enjoy it while we can.
It's like having your own private bus.
We have arrived at our gate. Oh, and I would like to mention that EVA seemed to be more professional on how they board passengers, something Qatar needed to improve on. Once we got on board and stowed our bags away, our miscellaneous items placed in our personal cubby holes, we were provided a refreshing towel as well as 2 glasses of sparkling wine.
请将手提行李放在上方行李箱内。
So while we listen to some Mandarin instructions and relax with our own personal pillow, let's take a look at our flight stats. Today, our flight to Houston will take us through EVA's hub at the city of Taipei. Total flight time for this segment is 4 hours and 30 minutes. Total distance, 2,026 miles. Despite this being a shorter flight, the business class section still features a fully reclining seat. But interestingly, there was no directional AC vent. The reading light is adjustable, and as usual, the media handheld device situated next to the USB port and headphone socket can be extracted, and in this case, it also acts as a secondary screen to the primary one.
Welcome aboard EVA Airways.
探员你好， 没错，就是你。请勿携带以下任何违禁物品。
To ensure your safety, we would like.
Besides the airline safety video, there is also a safety card in the magazine shelf, and along with that, a duty-free product brochure, just in case you want to reward your hardworking air stewardess with an extra commission. A handy-dandy sick bag is also provided for that extra turbulent moment. Food-wise, I really like EVA's menu design, which looked nothing short of delicious. Menus are of course also translated into Chinese. What we've discovered is that if you go online no earlier than 21 days and no later than 24 hours prior to the flight, you also have the option of pre-selecting exclusive signature meals designed by celebrity chefs. Chip and I, of course, took advantage of this. As you can see, the additional choices were quite extensive. Being a Taiwanese airline, most of their dishes lean towards Chinese flavors, which I like, but they also had some Western options. To help you with your meal planning, they also include the calorie count against each item. The beverage menu was also extensive, with different kinds of liquor on offer for each leg, including a $200
Laurent Perrier, Champagne, Grand Siècle.
on the segment between Houston and Taipei. Far be it from me to butcher that snooty pronunciation. On the contrary, I really enjoyed listening to all of EVA's uniquely Hokkien announcements. With that, we pulled out from our boarding gate. While the plane taxis to the runway, the airline also played a seasonal message with yet another secret mission. Finally, we take off. Soon enough, we left the palm oil jungles behind us, and just in time too, as those infamous afternoon storm clouds began to roll in. Goodbye, Malaysia. See you in another 13 days. Watching the geographical landscape slowly give way to gorgeous clouds really underscores the value of booking that window seat for a daytime flight. Okay, I didn't really plan for it, since these were the only seats left when we upgraded. Alright, let's take a look at EVA's entertainment offering. First up, the airline's Thunder headphones were provided in a sanitized hardcover case. The 3-prong plug meant that your plug-in should be movement-proof. The headphones not only fit snugly on my ears, but they were also an effective noise cancellation tool. When it came to the choice of music, I was quite impressed. This was a much wider selection of music than our preferred regional carrier Malaysia Airlines. And I know I should be using another airline as a standard, but we use MH so often that I don't know what else to compare with. The one thing I have against EVA Airways, where is Teresa Ting? This is simply outrageous. How can her songs not be represented on a Taiwanese airline? I mean, you have Fei Ting on here. Not that there's anything wrong with Fei Ting, but come on, man. Okay, that's it. I'm turning this off. Okay, I'm kidding. I still am pretty impressed. And I did eventually find some random songs of hers here and there, including a Leslie Chung and, some K-drama titles. Of course, Stevie Wonder is an in-flight favorite of mine. There are a variety of titles on the movie list as well, including some new releases. At this point, I experienced a disconnect between my device and the screen, which I'm sure had nothing to do with me smashing the buttons on my device repeatedly. So I ended up using the touchscreen again. My conclusion is, touchscreen for shows, device for music. Easy. But there were definitely plenty of movies to keep anyone busy. It turns out there was quite a number of interesting lifestyle and travel shows, and as you know, I love watching people eat. But all that is making me hungry, so enough of watching other people eat, you now get to watch me eat. I set up my pull-out table while the air stewardess lays out a pristine tablecloth. We were first provided with some crunchy nibbles, whilst the rest of the items were served one after another.
Japanese crackers.
At some point, my bowl of nibbles mysteriously ended up on Chip's table. For my drink, I opted for the White Rabbit Riesling from the Rhine region of Germany. The wine itself offered lovely aromas of apricot, peach, and gooseberry with hints of vanilla. On the palate, it was refreshing and vibrant, fruit-driven with citrus notes, clove, and a touch of natural sweetness. Balancing acidity, it gives a fresh and pleasant, crisp fruit finish.
Oh, I like this. This one is really good, yeah. What do you think? This is definitely one of my favorites. It's like just the right amount of sweetness, not that sour, and there's a little bit of sparkle to it as well. But that could have been my imagination. Yeah, I like this one.
I guess that's all that matters. Chip had the French,
Champagne. Castelnau. Millésime. Brut.
which was noticeably dry, just the way he likes it. By now, I'm sure you're dying for me to move on to the food. At this point, I think it's worth pointing out that previously, with Qatar's dine-on-demand experience, I was able to order just about anything on the menu at any time. However, EVA, like most other airlines, serve their food at preset times, though I'm sure you can ask for an adjusted serving time if you want it. And here is our first course, beautifully presented. Okay, I had to correct it just a tad bit, but hey, they had a full cabin to service and they're hustling. A napkin roll of cutlery was provided, as expected in a business class flight. This included a set of 2 knives, just in case if you didn't want to use the same one for your entree or dessert later. The salt and pepper shaker design felt slightly familiar.
They ought to design salt and pepper shakers like mahjong piles.
Okay, maybe not such a good idea.
Let's try this piece of salmon mousse, which Oppa didn't care for. He said it needed crackers. It's like cheese, but made with salmon.
Needs a cracker.
Needs a cracker, but it's not bad. I actually like it.
Yes, the appetizer was surprisingly tasty. The texture pretty good for airplane food, though you did have to wait your turn for the bread basket. Nonetheless, the sweet caramelized onions paired well with the salty salmon mousse, as did the apricot confit with the smoked duck slice. And the shrimp was cooked just nice. The tuna was tender, it's just too bad that it was such a small piece. Oh, what's Oppa doing? Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah. That's the idea.
Needs Tabasco.
In hindsight, me picking the garlic bread was not the smartest thing to do, considering that we were given salted butter on the side. But too much butter never hurt anybody. And the garlic bread was surprisingly good. I happily made the best of it.
Haha, not making the same mistake this time.
Our first pre-order entrees were less impressive.
Ooh, it's a bit stringy. May have to bring my knife in on this one.
We both ordered some version of a beef dish, but both turned out to be either slightly tough or overly chewy.
Tastes like beef. Actually not bad. Very beefy.
My herb polenta was okay. I didn't care for the zucchini, which I usually like, since it now tasted more like the yellow courgette it was next to. Chip told me his potato mash was undercooked. I guess I'll just finish the rest of this roll instead. Dessert was much better. A fruit plate and a decadent mango cheesecake.
Which I stole from there.
The mango cheesecake, though was very dense, was one of the best cheesecakes I've ever had. The fruits were mostly tart, except for the dragon fruit, which was nice and tender. I had the jasmine oolong tea, which was a familiar comforting end to the meal. All that drinking called for a visit to the loo, which was basic but clean. And since the Aqua Colonia bottles were kinda stuck to their holders, this was all I could show you. Now let's properly kick back and relax on the rest of this flight. And I'm happy to report that even Chip was able to get his feet into the triangular space in front of him. Definitely a lot better than his experience with Qatar. Very soon, we begin to approach our destination.
目前机场是下雨的天气，温度是14度。再次感谢您搭乘长荣航空，期待下次再会。
As we flew over Taiwan, the cloud formations changed into cottony shapes with fuzzy textures. As the crew got the cabin ready for landing, I continued watching the clouds until the skies turned into sunset and then night. It always amazes me how smoothly some pilots land these big planes. As the plane taxied to its gate, we were expecting to go through security like the last time around, even though we were merely transiting. To our delight, this procedure seemed to have been removed for now. We promptly made our way to the EVA Lounge, of which there were 4 separate ones to choose from. After some initial indecisiveness, we eventually got ourselves checked in, which was a very quick process involving mobile barcode reading machines at the nice-smelling lobby. Unfortunately, one side of the lounge was almost full, so we headed back out and over to the other side. The Star Lounge features a food and beverage buffet bar, restrooms including showers and VIP rooms. The buffet bar had a liquor corner which you can help yourself to. If you are more inclined to a lager, you have a choice of buckskin or the Taiwanese gold medal beer. If you must, there's a salad bar, bread rolls and crackers. Hot foods included siu mai, taro buns, and a not so appetizing looking Chinese hot and sour soup. But don't worry, Western favorites such as meatballs, grilled chicken and spaghetti are also available. In a corner are cute little Japanese-style sweets which I plan to sample with my expertly wielded chopsticks. There is also Haagen-Dazs ice cream, sago and coconut milk dessert, and this earthenware jar of sticky sweet potatoes sit prominently amongst the food options. Of course, this being Taiwan, the highlight for us was the red braised beef noodle soup, Hong Shao Niu Rou Mian.
It's cold.
It may have been cold, but the braised beef noodle soup really went down well, and the shank meat was surprisingly more tender than the one I've had in another restaurant in Taipei. Another absolute must-try was the Lu Rou Fan, which was rice topped with braised pork sauce, to which I paired a hard-boiled egg and braised tofu from the vegetarian section. But quite honestly, that braised tofu really stole the show. I can now show you the rest of the lounge as the crowd had cleared out by then. In addition to the usual flight board, it was also nice to see that these EVA ushers were actively calling for passengers whenever there was a final call with missing people.
长荣航空18号班次 Is there any passenger to San Francisco? We are 18, final call.
Let's not forget the toilets. The toilets were very clean and smelled great, but although these were Japanese toilets installed, the water pressure from these toilets, or at least the one in my cubicle, didn't seem to be working that day. What a bummer! It was now time to head to our gate, and just in case you needed a reminder of where we were going, boarding, however, was delayed slightly by a very interesting situation.
a senior citizen tour to Houston.
Chip by now had flown back and forth multiple times on EVA, and he has never seen this many wheelchair-assisted passengers in one flight. Maybe Houston was hosting a Paralympic convention.
We're home for the next 17 hours.
And this is the seat setup. The seats, all of which were fully reclining flatbeds, were arranged in a 1-2-1 layout. In addition to the lengthy foot space, there was plenty of width space, making this long-haul flight plenty comfortable. Stowage was sufficient. There was one at torso level for your phones and power banks, and another at foot level for other secondary items you may have. There was no dedicated storage for shoes, but they can be easily placed just below this footrest, after you make use of the adjacent wool slippers. Happily, the slippers were also open-toe, which meant that even Texas-sized Chip can use them. Next to the stowage is the usual multimedia console, a power socket, USB ports, headphone socket, and this reading light with different intensities. Headphones were the same noise-cancelling kind as was provided earlier with the 3-prong plug. A favorite feature of mine is this spacious side table, allowing you to place drinks and snacks on it without having to pull out the full-service dining table. The latter of which you can also do in its half-size format. However, you do have to be careful when you actually have drinks on this. On the other side is a retractable armrest, which turned out to be a little difficult pushing back in. If we had any complaint, it would be that this seat design does limit any direct interaction you could have with your travel buddy. In contrast, if you are picking window seats, interestingly, they're not all that private. EVA Air's welcome message on this long-haul flight featured the beloved Hello Kitty brand, a result of a successful partnership between Sanrio and EVA.
Cheers, Oppa!
While waiting for the others to board, I was offered sparkling wine, a much-needed hot towel, and a piece of
Valrhona.
dark chocolate. Valrhona? Valrhona? A poem printed on a card accompanied the welcome experience. If you're thinking that the English version sounds corny, it's because it's probably meant to be read in the original Mandarin.
Cheers, Oppa. Here's to the next 17 hours.
Soon, it was time for the safety demonstration video to play. We were a little taken aback with the sudden release of the screen when the air stewardess went from seat to seat, pushing this special button. I guess they really wanted you to watch that safety video. Heck, even the seatbelt felt sturdier. As usual, safety instructions for this specific aircraft are in the booth to one side. While we waited for our plane to take off, it looked like it was still raining quite a bit outside. This segment to Houston is a total flight time of 13 hours and 30 minutes, total distance of 8,130 miles. But it looks like the pilot will try to make speed by less of an hour. Meanwhile, I check out the console and entertainment offering. I found it easier to pick my choices directly from the screen as this one had a different layout. For example, you need to select your subcategories from this drop-down menu. Otherwise, you end up thinking that all the music they had was Taylor Swift. Our experience, however, with in-flight Wi-Fi was frustratingly non-existent. Prior to this flight, we had purchased not one, but 2 Wi-Fi vouchers, since according to the airlines, this should be complimentary for business class passengers. After several attempts to connect to the internet, we just could not get it to work. Most times, even scanning the QR code failed to pull up the list of internet plans available, so we couldn't even buy any one of these plans if we wanted to. Finally, one of our pre-downloaded vouchers looked like it was being processed, but nothing happened. According to their website, the Wi-Fi network can't be accessed in areas where satellite signals were not available, such as the polar regions. Which begs the question, are Vladivostok, Yushno-Sakhalinsk, and Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky polar regions? I don't know, one of those annoying mysteries of life. Now let's have a good look at the amenities kit. The last time on Qatar, I realized I didn't really do a good job of filming the amenities they provided, but just because I'm not interested in it doesn't mean that you're not. So, ta-da! First off, this is a Giorgio Armani kit bag with a nice synthetic leather casing. It looked like it came fresh out of the manufacturing plant as it still had the little plastic stickers on its logo and zippers. Inside is a business card wallet, earplugs, a comb, a dental kit, a sleep mask that looks strangely like something else, a Malin Goetz facial mist, Malin Goetz lotion, Malin Goetz lip moisturizer, and the Malin Goetz card with a nifty discount code that you can even use online. Neat! Looks like Chip is enjoying his amenities kit. Our experience with the Malin Goetz lip moisturizer was less sexy.
So I kind of miscalculated on this flight. I actually thought that they were going to serve lunch and a refreshing meal, but they are actually going to serve supper and a refreshing meal. And I ate a whole lot of food in the lounge. But I think I can just manage a little bit more space. Oh well.
Like in the earlier leg, we had pre-ordered our dishes online, so we had a chance of picking something that wasn't on the standard menu. Though notable on their standard menu is a full meal offering from the Taiwanese brand Din Tai Fung. My nitpicking self also found this printed sentence in broken English saying, "Welcome to Select Star Special to make you enjoy more good time in the flight." Both flights featured the exact same list of cocktails, spirits, and non-alcoholic drinks. The exception was the wine selection, which differed depending on which segment you were flying. My air stewardess is now pouring me a Boxing-based Shiraz Cabernet from Australia's Kangaroo Island. This wine shows a deep ruby color with aromas of pepper, cedar, eucalyptus, toasted vanilla. Okay, that's just getting old. In my world, you either like it or you don't.
The air stewardess was so nice. She asked if I would like to take a photograph of the wine bottle. KLIA. They're a really nice bunch, they are. How's your Bloody Mary?
The vodka's okay.
You bought?
All the other ingredients are a little off-color.
I think it's just tomato juice and vodka, right? And probably some black pepper, that's about it.
It's okay. I need to upgrade to tomato juice. Needs a lot more Tabasco. Some horseradish, and some black pepper. Plenty of vodka, so it's okay.
Kind of tastes like, I don't know.
It needs another double shot of vodka.
Are you sure? Did they overdo on the vodka?
It needs another double shot of vodka.
It needs more sour. It needs more sour. And like more pepper. It feels like something is majorly missing. Like something is missing from it, right?
It needs a double shot of vodka and some wasabi.
Anyway, more vodka and wasabi or not.
Cheers.
Our starter of egg crepe roll and cream cheese on mushroom was quite nice. Chip handed his unfinished plate to me, thinking that the brown item here was chocolate. After I told him what it really was, he took it back. Our hors d'oeuvres was interesting. The red coloring here was a gazpacho jelly, which was sticky. The main mixture inside was very tart and sour, and really needed some bread and butter to offset it. The croutons and hamon pieces made up for it, but it certainly wasn't our favorite dish. Besides the mahjong salt and pepper, this dish came with some balsamic olive oil which you can pour out in this little dish. And just in case you get too excited about this tin, like Chip did, it's just butter. Again, it was too bad the bread basket didn't reach us in time. That Din Tai Fung noodles and chicken soup sure looks good about now.
My bread has arrived. Ouch, it's hot.
Did the French baggie come to my rescue? Well, somewhat. Thankfully, we were saved by our entree. Our main was fish and seafood. Chips, steamed chicken bass must be good, as you can see with his oh so slight nod of approval. He surprisingly even finished his multi-grain rice.
It's impressive.
Mine was served with a mushroom risotto, which tasted more like a cross between risotto and sticky rice. Of the seafood, the squid, scallop, and shrimp was slightly overcooked, but that fish was just nice. Overall, it was a decent dish. Even the vegetables tasted like their original self and not like each other. By now, I only had enough room for the tea jelly dessert. Well, actually, Chip's tea jelly dessert, since he got served first. I thought I was just going to do a taster, but I ended up eating everything, since the jelly was really not too sweet. Finally, our meal is over. We're handed a refreshing towel and I put my table away. Now's a great time to take a look at the washroom, adorned with a real orchid and equipped with Aqua Colonia hand wash, lotions and scents, including earplugs and dental kits. I happily helped myself to this herb mint mouthwash. To settle down for the night, my air stewardess makes my bed for me while I admire her neatly styled hair. Oh, and I also help by holding my pillow and comforter. And this is the result. I literally kick off my boots and slip on my open-toe Jason Wu slippers for extra comfort. The comforter provided was of good quality and very thick, which depending on your body metabolism for hibernation, may or may not be a good thing. However, I did not use the bikini-looking sleep mask as that Velcro would not have been good to my hair. Did take forever for that to happen. I finally settled for the reclining angle I was most comfortable with and looked up at the artificial stars of the artificial purple sky. Now I go to sleep to the funky chords of Stevie Wonder. It was not yet breakfast by the time I got up, but I definitely wanted to try something from their Leisure Delights menu, so the Asian in me went with the instant noodles. What a treat! The noodles came in a mid-sized bowl and even had pieces of bok choy in it. I had two beverages before me, the matcha genmaicha green tea and choya extra years plum liquor. From my reaction, you can tell that the choya was a bad pairing choice on my part. Well, that got washed down real quick with the green tea. Anyway, now I can say that I've ticked off my bucket list item of having instant noodles 35,000 feet in the air. While having my instant noodles, I picked a 30-minute show called Take Out with Lisa Ling, which was an interesting insight into what it was really like to be a Chinese immigrant back in those days, legally, mind you, and what it was like for their descendants to grow up as Chinese Americans. Apparently, there's even a small town called Locke just outside of Sacramento, California, that's built by the Chinese for the Chinese. My instant noodles must have had quite a bit of MSG because I found myself craving a drink. I settled for an Ely's cappuccino, which was maybe about 80% of the oomph I usually get from an Ely's coffee on the ground. Still, it was much better than a powdered drink. The air stewardess, meanwhile, gifted a pack of Lay's potato chips to Chip.
Seaweed.
Unfortunately, not the kind he preferred. For my main meal, I'm having a hot towel. Okay, no, let's make that disappear. Let's try that again. Alright, what do we have here? Chip and I both got the double-boiled beef brisket and tender noodle soup. The tendon, which I'm guessing are all these slightly translucent tubes, were of different textures. Some had a firm bite to it, some were gelatinous and slightly sticky. This one was particularly slippery. The brisket was tender, the udon noodles pleasantly chewy, and the broth clean, light, but very flavorful. The side dishes were tasty. Unfortunately, the online menu did not describe what traditional delicatessens were, so I can only gather that these were some kind of bamboo or burdock. The mixed vegetables were stir-fried in some kind of dried seafood base. Now, let's watch Chip to see if he enjoyed his udon soup. Anyway, this turned out to be the most satisfying meal by far. Perhaps I should change all my meals on the inbound flight to Asian meals. As a testament to it, even Chip finished his bowl of udon. For fruit, the guava was the round kind, so this meant that it was sweet. The melon was also wonderfully sweet. The pineapple, too tart and raw for me.
Please fasten your seatbelt. Thank you.
TV time afterwards was a heartwarming Korean movie of two neighbors who, though initially irritated by each other since between them was nothing more than a thin wall with no soundproofing, eventually find comfort and solace in each other. Just as I was about to start another movie, the announcement comes in that we are approaching our end destination of Houston. It's crazy to think that we had just gone through almost 18 hours of flight time. This time around, the hours seemed to fly past us. I wonder how it would have been had we flown economy. Certainly not as comfortable, and certainly more difficult for Chip. I'm just thankful that we even had the chance of flying business. So goodbye, Taiwanese pigs. Goodbye, my comfy comforter. Before we knew it, our plane landed. It was all done so smoothly, only the forward inertia was any hint to the fact that we were landing, a true testament to the skill of these pilots in landing these big planes.
泰國航空感到為天航班嘅飛機，最高禮拜四到二並參與泰國嘅商會，今晚喺呢度歡迎香港地位同全國員啊，感謝。
Just landed in Houston. Back in the USA. Excited, Opa? This is officially the third time I'm in the USA. Split ways with Opa here. I know people have mixed feelings about the USA, but it's just something about walking into this place and then, you see a big American flag right up there.
73 up in the Goodland area, 72 at Garden City, 70 reported by Dodge City and Liberal, 72 over by the good folks of Garden.
After an 8-day visit to Chip's folks, a duration which went by too quickly, we were once again at the George Bush Intercontinental Airport of Houston. Check-in was very straightforward. We were invited to the shared executive lounge for business class passengers.
They have new chairs and everything. Looks nice.
That's the EVA girl. She looks a bit like King the Land, right?
Quite honestly, we didn't expect too much from this at all. And even though we were American Express Platinum card holders, we were never able to use the Sentral lounge in this airport as it was always closed by the time we got through security. The lounge was dated and the food was not particularly interesting. The buffalo wings and chicken noodle soup tasted okay, but these rolled gold pretzels tasted better.
Yeah.
in the room.
That said, one thing you could count on with an American lounge was for them to have a full bar with properly chilled beers. Our gate was conveniently situated outside the lounge, so I made it my business to step out now and again to check on our boarding status.
They're still getting ready to board.
And here we are. Can you spot any differences?
I am now on the flight back to Malaysia via Taipei. And I have a new friend.
Meet our Nashvilleian friend, Clarabelle, who will join us for our trip back home. As you can see, much of the detail in this segment is exactly the same, from the chocolates to the poem, except that it's now a different poem. Now, what's special about this flight is that we would be flying out just slightly before the 1st of January 2024.
You need to get it last.
Okay, let me ask for one.
And this calls for a celebration.
It's going to get 45 minutes to get over here. Champagne. Cheers.
By the good folks of
插座要最要求內容來確保安全，感謝。
With that, we were up in the air again, this time headed back towards Malaysia. Goodbye, America.
68 degrees today. Winds southerly at about 15 with gusts
This
of 5
segment,
miles an hour.
the amenities kit was slightly different in that the bag itself was now a soft synthetic leather exterior. Inside, other than its nifty keychain and its little zip pouch, all the other items were more or less the same. And this is just to show you that you're not missing out on anything new here. There was also a Jason Wu pajama set that you can request if you really wanted to. You can even ask for the size you need. And this is what it will look like when someone else wears it. Soon it was time for my favorite part of the trip, the in-flight meal. Our simple starter were 2 pieces of toast topped with curried shrimp, mozzarella with pesto and sun-dried tomato. As usual, I requested my favorite oolong tea. Since Chip went with the Western option of grilled beef fillet, he had an additional hors d'oeuvre of tuna and niswa salad. Also notable on the online exclusive menu is a steamed lobster dish, which I'm wondering now why I did not go for. Ah well, covet not thy neighbor's goods. Mine was udon noodles, braised pork, served with traditional delicatessens, the latter of which turned out to be a whole lot of greens. Well, I will happily eat my greens. The broth today was clear and a little sweet. The braised pork slices perfectly tender. Though healthy tasting, it was not bad. Needless to say, I ate everything. Well, almost everything. Dessert was quite Asian, with a red bean and green tea mousse cake that was perfectly light and not too sweet. Now excuse me while I take forever to get ready for bed. TV time before bed was, surprise, surprise, yet another movie with a Korean title, Ajuma. This time, it was a Singaporean-South Korean joint production which won quite a number of awards and nominations. And rightly so, as this movie was not only funny, it was absolutely heartwarming. It features Singaporean Auntie Lim Bi Hua, if there's anything more Singaporean than that, visiting South Korea for the first time, and her chance encounter with a kind ajusi and a young tour guide trying to find his way in life. The funniest scene to me was when she asked the ajusi, "You make one ah?" Hilarious. Since I was still not yet ready to sleep, I decided to try another snack from their Leisure Delights menu. This time, a steamed bun with braised pork or gua bao, which I had with my Ely's coffee. Believe it or not, my Chinese ass has never once tried a gua bao in the 30 plus years of my life. And today, having that combination of slightly sweet tender pork belly and 5-spice sauce between the soft white bun actually blew my mind away. If that's not enough, this combination was taken to another level with what I suspect was a good sprinkling of peanut butter crumble. Is this even legal? Anyway, I followed up with a Chinese movie called Hui Lang Ting, adapted from the work of a Japanese mystery novelist. It made for a good mystery show, though I would say that the plot twist towards the end was a little confusing. By now, it was definitely past my bedtime. Good morning. Yes, I am a glutton. To be honest, it really was difficult trying to sleep. It seemed afterwards like I was just trying anything and everything to while away the hours. This included watching Michelle Yeoh act as the loony character in an Agatha Christie adaptation, which as usual, the more bodies the better, to having a vodka martini, which was quite nice, to snacking on more Japanese biscuits, which again was quite nice, Thankfully, we were now approaching Taipei, and the crew began prepping the cabin for the refreshing meal course. As usual, it was always fun watching professionals at their job. But this begs the constant question for the curious. How do they keep their hair up? Do they even sleep? For my refreshing meal, I'm having a plain Chinese congee with a whole bunch of stuff. The whole bunch of stuff consists of egg pancake. I mean, who doesn't like an egg pancake? Salty pork floss, carrots and green beans, tofu, and more greens. And having that stir-fried pork with black fungus made this quite a balanced meal. If you're wondering what black fungus is, it's nothing more but a tasteless kind of mushroom with a crunchy texture. While we're at it, let's add some of those pickled greens, which I don't consider a balanced meal, but I like some good variety. Finally, this is fermented bean curd, very commonly served in Taiwan as a saltening agent for congee, whereas in Southeast Asia, we would have used soy sauce. Anyway, that goes in there too. If it's not salty enough, you still have that pork floss. Or you can coat your asparagus with it instead. There's no right or wrong way. Chip opted for the Western breakfast, so guess who has to eat his food? I'm happy that at least he's having his scrambled eggs and bacon. It is time to put all our things away as we're now approaching Taipei. I also noticed a familiar tune that is being played across the system. If you're into Taiwanese songs, you might just make it out. Here we are back in the Star Lounge. Since it was now morning, the food offering was catered to breakfast. Western options included French toast, scrambled eggs, bacon, and spam. The Asian stuff included stir-fried vegetables. Sandwiches are a favorite to go for the Taiwanese. I, of course, had a second bowl of congee, some dim sum, and this turnip cake, though I much prefer my turnip cakes to have fried shallots or little dried shrimpies embedded in them. The sky was shining brightly outside as we made our way back to the boarding gates.
We're the first to board today.
All amenities on this trip were of course the same, though I noticed for the first time that the pillow provided was one with down feathers. But what is this? Anyway, here's to a safe trip back to Malaysia. Unfortunately, somebody was starting to feel a little anxious.
上本飛機各項安全設備跟最後航款，請各位貴賓一定要注意安全對量內靠不能安全，感謝。
Soon, our plane, including this one painted in Sanrio designs, got into queue for takeoff. As we departed to gorgeous window views of Taipei, I couldn't help thinking to myself, finally, our last leg home. Believe me, this comment does not come more appropriate than right now, considering how long it took me to get to this point in editing this video. Certainly longer than our short vacation back to the US. While the crew preps us for our lunch, I picked out a recent Hong Kong film starring Sylvia Chang, who has aged quite a bit since the last movie I watched her in, which was... yeah, that would make sense. Anyway, Miss Chang has since then worn many different hats throughout her film career, and whenever it is that I do watch movies with her in it, I've always enjoyed it. This heartwarming movie was no different, and it also provided a thoughtful glimpse into Hong Kong's past of streets brightly lit with neon signages and the craftsmanship that goes into them. Cheers! Presto! Hey, where's my bread? Let's try that again. Much better. Well, where's your bread? That scalloped terrine with caramelized onion, though it may not sound so appetizing, was quite tasty. It made for a good mini banh mi too. Chip's main was a halibut fillet which looked quite good from where I was seated. My braised pork belly with preserved vegetables looked less impressive. While the rice did taste a little like the okra it was reheated with, and the pork was not fall apart tender, I always appreciate a good comfort dish. Dessert was fruit and tiramisu cake. The tiramisu was balanced, light, and not too sweet. It went down nicely. With that, I fold my napkin, put my table away, and enjoy that fully reclining chair for one last time. Soon we neared our destination and prepared for landing. While we were serenaded by more Taiwanese tunes, my home country of Malaysia treated us to a view of its always beautiful skies. Poor Clarabelle, I think she's absolutely petrified by now. And just like that, we've gone from negative frigid temperatures to very hot and humid weather. Now you would think if KLIA had special buses for business class passengers on the outbound, they would also have the same thing for business class passengers on the inbound. Nope, no such thing. That's my country, always doing great things 6:30. Well, at least we can count on some things. Though I'll have to say that this KLIA Express VIP service is separate from the business class arrangement. So, how do we pay for this? Turns out Chip working as an expat over in Southeast Asia has its benefits. The company he works for annually provides him home leave back to the US, and this home leave also includes his lovely doting wife. Thus, we were able to upgrade the difference to business class. The previous time we rode business class was with Qatar Airways on their Q Suite. Price-wise, I was able to look up a similar round-trip flight with Qatar to compare with a recent EVA trip back to the US. For the same dates, EVA's business class costed us $4,075 per person, while Qatar would have costed us $5,205 per person. Now this difference was largely due to the fact that we were early enough to pick business basic rates for EVA, whereas during my search, Qatar no longer had business light rates for its outbound options. However, even with the 1,000 more per person, it doesn't mean that we are provided a Q Suite experience throughout. Overall, I felt that for the price paid, EVA's Royal L'Oreal Business Class was sufficient for our needs. Even though we did not have the dine on demand experience with Qatar, which was kind of cool, we thought EVA still had the better seating and sleeping setup. Food-wise, if you stayed with the Asian and Mediterranean options, you typically fared better than if you were to order red meat such as beef and steak. Now, this could just be our perception, but service-wise, we also felt that EVA's business class crew was friendlier and more accommodating. In fact, we were so taken with the stewardess that was attending to us on the Taipei KL segment that we left a compliment to her and the entire team on the EVA website. Embarrassingly, even though I had taken note of a name while on flight, I'd somehow misspelled it on the feedback form. But I think EVA customer service understood which stewardess I meant. I also want to thank Blackmagic Design, the company behind this wonderfully free video editing software DaVinci Resolve. Yes, that's seriously my screen. It's the best comprehensive video editing software you'll get out there that literally does not have a price tag on it. It's no joke that I've come to depend so much on this software that I really don't want to switch to anything else, even when I've recently encountered some serious problems myself in using it. Amazingly, the Blackmagic team helped troubleshoot and prescribe the fix, even when they owed us free riders absolutely nothing. So thank you, Blackmagic Design team. Finally, if you have stayed on this long through the video, I really thank you from the bottom of my heart. I do videos like this because I like the creative process that comes from putting stuff together. And quite honestly, I don't expect to ever earn anything from YouTube, since I have too much going on in my life to ever be consistent with my videos. But to know that there are people out there who still watch them, it means something to me. It really does. We're Chip and Eddie. Till the next video, have a blessed day.
Isn't it? We're gonna have to bleep that out.
Such a small portion.
Okay, fine, then you take this one. Here's to the next 17 hours.
A long time.
I have to bleep that out. So when he found out, it was.
And in the Ponca City Blackwell area, 68 degrees today.